Hey guys, Josh here from Sportitude Running. I'm in one of our Run DNA studios here at Hindmarsh, and in front of me, I've got the new ON Running Cloudmonster. This is a very exciting shoe. Now, you would have seen a lot of reviews out there by now. It's been on market for 4 weeks. However, we were one of the lucky handful of people globally to get a monster delivered to us around 10 months ago. We were trusted with On to do some testing on this shoe. We did it here in our Run DNA room and also got some clicks out in the road and just compared it to where it sits in other shoes on the market. Now, with all of that information that we gathered 10 months ago, no surprises, we were extremely excited about what this shoe was going to do for the market and where it was going to be positioned. And the reason I've held off for this sort of roughly 4-week period to do my review is to see if everyone was on the same page as us. And the reviews have been overwhelmingly positive for this shoe and this brand. And today's review, we're going to dive into all the reasons why, talk about the outsole, the midsole, the upper, give you all the information you need at home to, who knows, maybe make this your next shoe purchase. So without further ado, let's get stuck in. The On Running Cloudmonster is a max cushioned neutral shoe. It sits on a pretty generous stack height of 30 mils in the heel, 24 in the forefoot for that offset of 6 millimeters. Now, no new technology is on play here. The Cloud Tech technology from On has been rolled out for a number of seasons now, and they've also used Helion foam. However, the compounder Helion foam and how they've positioned the Cloud Tech is the reasons why this shoe is so unique, and it is why it's so popular. Being a really cushioned shoe on entry for heel strikers and midfoot strikers, and offering an incredibly stable transition through the entire gait cycle due to those Cloud Tech pods and also the speed board which comes into play to restabilize that high-performing midsole. The shoe itself has a relatively generous upper with regards to breathability, and the lockdown is nice and solid across the top of your navicular. Good breathable upper, great toe box. This shoe here is going to be extremely comfortable for plenty of clicks out in the road. So let's get stuck into our review and let's talk outsole first. So starting off with the outsole first, let's take a look and see what On Running have done with this shoe. So like all of their other running shoes, obviously their really unique point of difference is the Cloud technology, and we'll get to that in the midsole part of this review. However, protecting the midsole is what the outsole is all about. So you can see the strategically placed harder wearing rubber on the back of the pods through here, so 1, 2, and 3. That's going to give an element of protection for that heel striker coming down on that first entry point of their gait cycle. As you transition through to the midfoot and forefoot regions of this shoe, you can see that there's a pretty generous width in terms of the overall stability side of this shoe for that midfoot transition. However, there's a little bit of exposed Helion foam through here. Now, I've had my pair, I've done around 50 Ks in them. As I said in the intro, one of our staff members, Oscar, put in around 200 Ks in his monsters prior to them coming to market, and we didn't see any unusual or unwanted wear in that whole outsole. It was really good, really durable. As we're coming through to the forefoot though, again, a little bit like the rear of this shoe, you can see that On have placed that rubber on top of those Cloud Tech pods to protect the asset being the midsole. One thing to note though, it is sort of clear or evident to the naked eye that the rubber on the back of the shoe is marginally thicker than the rubber on the forefoot, and no surprises there. Main reason being is for heel strikers that come down, you want a little bit more protection because generally speaking they hit the ground with a little bit more force, hence a slightly thicker rubber through the rear of the shoe versus the forefoot. Okay, we're going to skip one. We're going to go straight to the upper now. The reason being is this shoe has a relatively unique construction up top, and that's nothing new for On. For you On lovers out there, or those who are new to the On Running franchise, they offer quite a lot with regards to how they execute their uppers. So I talk about the fit of the forefoot first. Now, generally speaking, what I find with Ons is they have a slightly higher toe box than what you would probably experience in some other shoes. Now, nothing has changed with the Cloudmonster. When I step into the Cloudmonster, I tend to find I have a little bit more wriggle room. However, I really like what that does for me with regards to my running comfort. As you come through to the lacing structure, it does start a little bit further up the shoe itself. So almost like the 1080 version 12 from New Balance, the lacing system doesn't come as far down the foot where it sits on top of your metatarsals. It actually comes a little bit further up. And what that allows is, again, allows more of that breathability, but also gives you a more dialed in lockdown on top of your arch. And the actual eyelets that On use are a little bit broader, both the medial and lateral side. So therefore the tension is more evenly spread across the top of your arch. All that does is just improve the overall comfort and feel. And you do have that extra eyelet at the back through here. So if you're a runner that likes to use that or do a runner's lock, you can do that with this shoe. Now stepping back to the heel counter of this shoe, there is a structural internal heel counter, not overly intrusive, so it's not extremely stiff and rigid. However, that works perfectly well with the amount of foam that they have around the internal collar here as well. So on the inside, we have a bit of memory foam, sits on the medial and lateral side of the inside of this collar. And also, as you can see, it does kick up a little bit like a small Achilles flare, I'll call it, at the back through here, but you get the right amount of pinch and grab around the base of your Achilles and heel with this shoe. Overall, the upper offers a decent lockdown. I don't think it's the best lockdown out there. Now, in saying that though, what the upper in this shoe does is all about complementing what's happening underneath the foot with this midsole. So I must say, with what this shoe does in regards to its breathability, its support, its construction, the depth and width through the forefoot, it works perfectly well for heel strikers and midfoot runners and those people who are looking to experience what this midsole is all about. Okay, now let's talk about the fun part of this shoe review, and it is all about the midsole. So what On Running have done here is they've produced their softest running shoe yet. Now, how they've done that is really nothing new, and I mean that in all due respect to On Running. They are still using their cloud technology. They're still using their Helion foam. However, they've just increased the stack height from what we have traditionally seen with On Running shoes. This shoe sits on a 30mm heel, 24 forefoot for that off set of 6mm. However, you can see the cloud tech pods are relatively large on that lateral and on the medial side. A little bit like what we've seen with the Cloud Stratus. Now, that was a dual layered cloud technology to get the pods to work together on that vertical compression line. However, we're not seeing that dual layering through here with the Cloud Tech with the Monster. We're actually just seeing an increased pod, and that has been allowed to have been executed because of the stack height being a little bit more generous than what we're used to. Now, the cloud technology, for those of you that may not be aware, it does work on a unique form. Now, what we tend to find with most running shoes with traditional foams, they have a compression rate with regards to that lateral entry point. So if you're a heel striker, a midfoot runner, or a forefoot runner, there is an element of compression. The great thing about the Cloud Tech pods is they do compress a little bit more, and then they also work on a horizontal plane to not only absorb that cushioning, but encapsulate that energy and then help it with your energy return through your toe-off phase of your gait cycle. Now, the other reason why this Cloud Tech does work quite well is due to the speed board. Now, the speed board sits basically between your foot and this midsole, and the speed board is a plastic or a nylon board that essentially gives the shoe some torsional stability, and it also allows the midsole to do what it needs to do in regards to compression, absorbing that vertical force and turning it into a really snappy feel through your toe off. Almost like what we've seen with plated shoes, right? So your carbon plates or your plastic plates out there, they have that same sort of construction, that same element. They help restabilize the midsole and help with that exit out of your gait cycle. Now, this the Cloudmonster is a neutral shoe. I did touch on that in the intro. So the medial side, there's nothing here that's going to suggest I would put a severe or an overpronator inside this shoe. I'd be quite cautious of doing that, mainly due to the fact it's on a higher stack and the Cloud Tech just wouldn't hold up. On the lateral side, you can see through here the cloud technology is on offer to help with that first entry point of compression. Now, no surprises there. I mean, On Running, technically speaking, all of their shoes are neutral. And the only real change in the past has been the density of foam that they've used in its larger Cloud Tech pods. And we used the Cloud Flyer, for example. They had softer foam at the back and also a softer Cloud Tech underneath that first metatarsal. And that was to encourage a little bit of restabilization for runners that were looking for some cushioning underneath their first met. Now, the great thing again about this shoe is the fact it's nice and light and it's on a really cushioned feel under the body. Again, for most people who've used their On Running shoe previously, and we're referencing the midsole through here, the feedback is I can kind of feel the Cloud Tech's underneath my foot. And some that's a good thing, some they don't like it, it's a bit different. However, how they've executed this midsole, you hardly feel what is happening underneath your body. All you feel is the experience you get when you come into your gait and out of your gait cycle, which is exactly what you want from a running shoe. Okay guys, in summarising, the On Running Cloudmonster is a max cushion but lightweight shoe. 275 grams for a men's size 9, around 230 grams for a lady size 8. It comes in relatively light for all things considered when you're talking mileage shoes. Now, if you're a runner that's looking at a mileage shoe and you've had the conversation around a Hoka Clifton or a New Balance 1080 Fresh Foam, I would certainly throw in the Cloudmonster into that mix. As I said, it's a versatile shoe, so if you're a runner that's had the conversations around ASICS Nova Blast, as maybe a versatile everyday shoe or something you can double down as a tempo shoe / sessions, I would also have a conversation in and around the On Running Cloudmonster as well. Incredibly versatile. I'm telling you right now, this little guy is in my running shoe rotation. I'm doing everything from longer runs to shorter tempo runs in it, and I am absolutely loving it. I'm not even going to hide that fact. I really like what On Running do as a brand, and I love what they've done with the On Running Cloudmonster, and I'm super excited to hear the feedback from all of you, the running community out there. So if you've got any questions about this shoe, On in general, let us know in the comment section below. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, hit the red button, stay notified, and we'll keep pumping out these shoe reviews for you, the running community. And until next time, stay safe, be kind to one another, and we will see you out the road. Take care.